What's up, guys? Nolan King coming at you from the Bellator Fight Sphere in Uncasville, Connecticut. Here to answer your questions again. Appreciate everybody that sent them in. First question comes from Hang Tight Promotions, who asks, do you think Conor versus Masvidal will happen? Do I think it will happen? Hard to tell at this point. I hate predicting Conor's next move because I feel like there's a lot of good options. Anything can go. But sometimes he in the UFC picked the options that I don't necessarily expect, like the Nate Diaz rematch, like the Donald Cerrone fight. So will it happen? That remains to be seen, but I'm going to tweak your question a little bit. Do I think it makes sense now? Is it the time? If I was Dana White, would I book this fight? And I say yes, 100%. I think it's the time for this fight. Masvidal lost a little bit of steam from the Usman fight. Conor coming off the Cerrone win, but he's been inactive, so he hasn't really been discussed as much. I think that this would be a way to put them both on a pedestal again. The winner will come out a bigger star, I should say, and the loser won't lose too much steam because Masvidal's Masvidal. Losing to Conor is not a huge deal. People, if anything, losing to Conor has made some people more famous. And then Conor himself, if he were to lose, he fought a bigger welterweight, so he can still go back to lightweight and kind of, come in with the MO that he's going to still destroy the lighter weight guys. So book it, Dana White. Replacement fight for Zabit, or wait until Yair gets healthy in October or November-ish. I think that the most realistic option is going to be Zabit fighting somebody else. I don't think that the UFC wants him to fight Volkanovski quite yet. He's been out by the time he fights again, it'll be almost a year. So I'm going to guess that Zabit will have to fight somebody else, but it's just a matter of who, right? So you've got Brian Ortega versus Zombie, which is supposed to happen, but who knows what the status is of Zombie being able to fight anywhere. I know that was a big issue, obviously, with some of the other Korean fighters getting yanked off maybe last week's card in the beginning of August. You've also got Max Holloway. What is he up to? How quickly does he want to get back? You've got Calvin Kattar, potential rematch that I know Kattar's side has been very vocal. They want it. I think would answer a lot of questions people have about Zabit's cardio. So I guess he could prove something like that through that fight. But I'm sure in his mind, he's like, man, I just beat this guy. This is my last win. Is this just going to be a step to the side if I win? And, potentially I could lose. So, anything can happen when you get two top 10 guys going at each other. So, I don't think that the Kattar fight's one that he wants. I don't think the UFC is going to want the Volkanovski fight now. As much as Zabit wants it, I think he's going to have to fight again. And he's just going to have to sift through the options and find the one that makes the most sense timing-wise. Question number 3, our final question, comes from Teflon John at Dat Dude Jr. Outside of the more hyped 2020 UFC debutantes like Chimaev, who are some of the new UFC fighters going under the radar we should be looking out for? It's a great question. Moving up, starting with the lighter weights, no particular order. I think Movsar Evloev is a guy. He's 3-0 in the UFC. Totally slipped through the cracks. I don't know if it's just because sometimes North American fans kind of see Russian names and they're like, oh, this dude's, probably a badass, but there's been so many Russians that sometimes I get some of them confused or whatever. He should be somebody that gets a lot more credit than he does. Don Madge has been out of action for a while, but 2-0 in the UFC. He's looked great. Excited to see him come back. Brad Riddell is a guy that, I'm already being asked about him a lot. Like, oh, when's he fighting? What do you think of him? So when you're 2-0 in the UFC and you have that kind of reputation, you're doing something right. Other fighters, middleweight Brendan Allen has looked great, 3-0 in the UFC. Overcome adversity, fought tough guys, won, has finishes. Just a great fighter, and especially at middleweight, we need those kind of guys right now. Finally, heavyweight Ciryl Gane. I don't think many people are jumping to fight him. He's only 3 fights into his UFC career, 6 fights into his pro career, and he's already looking like a guy that you could put a number next to his name. So I'm excited to see him come back and battle somebody that's, Shamil Abdul-Rahimov is a great test. And I think it's really going to put him into contendership should he win. And that's it for this week's Mailbag, guys. Like I said at the beginning, really appreciate everybody's questions. We've gotten great responses recently. I've been very pleased with it. It's something I'm trying to improve on every week. Hopefully we can get more of your questions answered. But yeah, guys, really appreciate it. Keep sending them in, and we'll be talking next week.